We are over. Are you still going to help me get a car? He asked that question while he was holding a gun. Of course I said yes. He said, you can go to bed. I will sleep out here on the couch. As he sat on the couch, kicked off his shoes, then stretched out on the couch. I won't mess with you. I won't hurt you. He looked down at the knife as I walked away towards my bedroom. You won't stab me in my sleep, will you? He chuckled. He is crazy, I thought, as I went into my bedroom and locked the door. It was close to midnight, and I had to work on Friday. I was too scared to sleep, so I lied there wide awake until it was time to go to work. While I was getting breakfast, Jim asked me if he could drive me to work, just in case he needed to go to a job interview. He might need the car. He still had the gun in the house somewhere. Of course I said yes. So Jim drove me to work. I got out of my car and went inside the building. I did not mention the incident to anyone. My supervisor, Darren, said hello as I walked in. I was preoccupied, but I said hello and kept walking to my desk. Darren followed me to my cubicle. He asked, can you come to my office a minute, please? I said, sure. I wondered what was up. He looked unhappy. I walked into his office and he closed the door. Carol, sit down. I need to talk to you about something. Now I really wanted to know what was up. I sat down and asked, Darren, what's the matter? I am so pissed. Yesterday at lunch, Jeff asked me if I got a raise too, since we both had our reviews yesterday. Since he said too, I assumed they gave us the same raise, so I said yes. Oh no, I said, anticipating that it was about to get worse. Yeah, I said an extra 6% will come in handy, and I knew as soon as I said it that he did not get the same raise as me. He said, 6%? I got 3%. What kind of crap is that? Then he got up from lunch and went to talk to Kathleen. Of course, she was not happy that we were discussing salary information, since that is confidential, Darren said. Note to self, never discuss salary, bonus, vacation time, or any other personal information with anyone. I told him, you don't have to worry that I will do that. I keep my business to myself. And if he wants to be pissed at you for that, so be it. Ignore him. You didn't do anything wrong. I have to get back to work. As I walked away, I heard him say thanks. It felt good to have something take my mind off of the mess with Jim for a few minutes. I sat down to work and tried to focus for the rest of the day. Jim actually picked me up from work on time for a change. He was smiling and chatting like everything was normal. He is crazy. He was talking about how he stayed home all day. He didn't need to go anywhere, so he was home all day. I acknowledged what he was saying, but all I could think about was when to tell him to leave my apartment. God, please help me. I said a silent prayer. We stayed in the apartment Friday evening, and I just kept to myself. On Saturday afternoon, Jim asked if he could borrow my car. I told him that my cousins and I were supposed to go out dancing, so please be back by 6 p.m. He said he would and left. I was getting dressed around 5 p.m. when I heard a knock on the door. I was partially dressed, so I put on my robe. I looked through the view hole in the door, and it was Jim's friend Legs. Yes, Legs. He was about 6'2" and all legs. I cracked the door and said, "Hi, Jim isn't here." He said, "I didn't come to see Jim. I need to talk to you." I was concerned about letting him in since I only met him one time. He could see my hesitation and said, "I don't have to tell you, but it's important. Jim is up to something, and I do not think you deserve it." Of course, that was enough for me to decide to let him in and find out what Jim was up to. "No, thank you. Come on in," I said. I told him to have a seat, and I sat on the couch next to him. "What's up?" I asked. He said, "I only met you one time, but I told you then that you were too good for Jim." He raised an eyebrow as if to say, "Am I right?" I nodded. Jim came over to my place yesterday. He said he needed me to find someone to do something for him. Jim said you guys split up. I nodded again, taking in the fact that Jim swore to me that he didn't go anywhere at all on Friday. He said he wanted to mess you up. He said he needed someone to come rob you. He said you were moving in a couple of weeks and he wanted it done before that. He said that he would give me a key, but he wanted it to look like someone broke in and robbed the place. He said to make sure that to take your babies, your TV and VCR and receiver, cut up your clothes and break up some stuff. I asked him why he wanted to mess you up like that when you were good to him. He just laughed and said, man, I am done with her. Now, what you do with the information is up to you, Leg said. I was speechless. I really was. I couldn't believe it. I said, thanks for telling me. I know you didn't have to come here and tell me this. I will definitely do something. I have to get started now since he is supposed to be here shortly. I stood up and walked Legs to the door. Thanks again so much. He said you're welcome and left. I shut the door and made a phone call. I called one of my closest cousins, Dee Dee. Dee, I said when she answered, I can't go into details, but I need to come stay at your place for a few weeks starting today. Dee Dee giggled, her famous giggle, and said, girl, you know you don't have to call me. Come on. I hung up and rushed to my bedroom to take off the dressy top and pantyhose and put on some jeans and tennis shoes. I was thinking while I was dressing. I knew exactly what I would do when he showed up. I started disconnecting my electronic equipment, my babies as he called them. He always had an issue with me being so independent that I bought everything in my apartment with my own money. He initially thought some man had bought them for me. I just wrapped the cords and set the equipment on the coffee table. I gathered all of Jim's belongings and put them in his duffel bag and then set it by the door. It was a little after 6 p.m. when I heard my car pull into the carport below my apartment. I knew it was showtime. Jim opened the front door to my apartment and I swept past him saying, Jim, hi Jim, where have you been? You said you would be back around 5. I was obviously thankful to God that he didn't show up at 5. My landlady is someone who wants to buy an apartment. She said if I can move out today, that I do not have to clean the apartment and I get my full deposit back. I can't beat that. Jim stood there looking shocked. But I thought you were still going to be here another week. He looked like he was actually sad. Yeah, sad that he couldn't take my babies and cut up my clothes, huh? I kept walking and talking, packing and stacking stuff by the door. Right, but with a deal like that, I'm going to get out of here. I will drop you off at your mom's before I go to my cousin's in Pinole. That's a suburb between Richmond and Vallejo. She said I can store my stuff in her garage. The truth was that I would take a carload of things to my cousin Dee Dee's house in Richmond, then get my brother Gilbert to come help me move all my stuff to storage on Sunday. Wow, I see you have all my stuff packed already. So that is it, huh? He said. I glanced at him as I walked past briskly, and he said, really looked like he was trying to think of something fast. So are you still going to give me, help me with my car? He asked. I knew the question would come up. Yes, I said, what I knew he wanted to hear, and what would get me out of the house without another hostage situation. I opened the door and said, let's start loading up my car. I started down the stairs with my arms full before he could protest. Before I knew it, I was behind the wheel and Jim was in the passenger side staring out the window. I had a carload of my household belongings and I was driving him home. I would be done with him. The adrenaline was pumping and I wanted to scream, I did it! But instead I pulled up in front of Jim's house and kept the car running, but my mouth shut. He grabbed his bag and said to me, so, you are still giving me the money for the car, right? All I could think of was that he had that gun somewhere. Yes, I said. He said bye, and I said bye, then drove off. I did not breathe until I was several blocks away. Oh my goodness, what did I do? Instead of allowing God to guide me to the totally right man, I forced myself into a relationship with a totally wrong man. Yes, he was a permissive God, and he allowed me to walk right into that mess with my eyes wide open. I had plenty of time to calm down and think while I drove from East Oakland to Richmond. I was headed to Dee Dee's house, and I would stay there until I could move all of my things out of the apartment. When I arrived at Dee Dee's, I told her the whole messy story, and she said, "Girl, he probably really did start liking you. He was so used to using women, and when his old ways came back, he thought he could force you to stay. You can stay at my place as long as you like." I told her thank you and went to call Gilbert, who was staying at our mom's house in Campbell. I told Gilbert what happened, and he was ready to go find Jim. I told him that was not what I needed. I needed him to come to Oakland with me on Sunday and help me pack up my apartment so I could move my stuff to a storage unit. He said no problem. He and Mom would come up on Sunday and help me. My Sunday was spent packing boxes and loading boxes onto a U-Haul trailer attached to my powder blue Mercury Lynx. My mom and brother were sent by God. We worked fast and orderly. I tried to find a storage company that was open on Sunday, but I had no luck. My mom and brother had to go back to Campbell, so I decided to park the trailer at my cousin's house. I could see it from the bedroom window. I planned to call in sick on Monday so that I could find a storage unit and unload all of my belongings. It took me all day to get everything off the trailer and pack it into the storage unit by myself. But I did it and felt so relieved to be alive and miles away from Jim. On Tuesday, when I arrived at work, I had barely stepped off the elevator and the receptionist was waving several pink slips at me. She said someone named Jim called several times on Monday, even though she told him I was out sick. I took the pink slips, said thank you, and walked down the hall to my desk. As I walked past the kitchen, I saw Gloria and Lynn and waved. I had missed my training on Monday, so I had to go to an all-day training class as soon as I logged into my computer. I laid the pink slips down on my desk with no intention on calling Jim back. I went to the training class, and it helped take my mind off of Jim and the events of the previous 4 days. When I came back to my desk at the end of the day, the pink slips had multiplied, and they were all from Jim. I was beginning to get nervous. I should have known it wasn't going to be that easy. I logged out, threw the slips in the garbage, and left for the day. On my way to Dee Dee's house, I stopped at the store to pick up some much-needed items for work on Wednesday: a tape recorder and batteries. I knew when I finally spoke to Jim on Wednesday that he was not going to be happy, and he was not going to ask me about the money for, and he was going to ask me about the money for the car that I decided I was not going to give him. When I got to Dee Dee's house, I tested the recorder and told Dee Dee my plan. Girl, you know he is going to threaten me or something. It will be my only way to prove it and hopefully protect myself. Dee Dee giggled and said he didn't know who he was messing with. We knew it was a serious matter, but it was funny because it felt like a crazy movie. On Wednesday, I went to work and I started to tell Lynn and Gloria about the mess I was dealing with, but I was too nervous to talk. I knew I had to call Jim and wanted to get that out of the way. Both of my friends were on their office phones, so that made it easy for me to avoid conversation. I sat at my desk and pulled the tape recorder out of my purse. I turned on the recorder and called Jim's mother's house. She answered the phone. "Hello?" I said, "Hello, this is Carol. Is Jim home?" She said, "He just ran next door for a minute. Do you want me to have him call you?" I said, "Yes, please. I'm at work." "Okay, bye, honey," she said and hung up. I turned off the recorder. I pressed the rewind button on the little black recorder. I stopped at the beginning of the tape and pushed the play button. I could clearly hear Jim's mom and I having a dialogue. "Hello? Hello, this is Carol. Is Jim home?" "He just ran next door for a minute. Do you want me to have him call you?" Yes, please. I'm at work. Okay, bye, honey. Click. I stopped the recorder. I was ready when Jim called me 10 minutes later. The receptionist said, Jim is calling, and she transferred his call to me. I pushed the record button and picked up the line. Hello, this is Carol. May I help you? Jim's voice said, Carol, why haven't you answered my calls? Why are you ignoring me? I said, Jim, I was out sick on Monday. When I came to work on Tuesday, I had to attend an all-day training class. Today was the first chance I had to call you back, so I called you at your mom's house. I knew the question was coming. He said, okay, so when can you give me the $300? That's how much I need from you to buy a car. I said, Jim, I can't afford to give you $300. I'm trying to move into a different apartment and have my own car note plus insurance. You are working. I am sure you will have it soon. I knew that was going to change the tone of the conversation. What? Wait a minute. You promised to give me some money to buy me a car. Now all of a sudden you were saying no? You are going to give me some money, he said in a threatening tone. I said in a whispered voice, Jim, after you held a gun on me Thursday, you expect me to give you some money? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe you. I held that gun on you because you hurt me. I wasn't going to kill you. I just wanted to scare you and make you feel like I felt, Jim said as convincingly as he could. I said calmly, well, you did. I am not giving you any money. He said, yeah, Carol, you will give me some money. Don't forget I know where your grandmother lives and where your mother lives. You don't want me to hurt them. You better get that money. Then he hung up. Oh God, what have I gotten into? I said in a whisper to myself as I stopped the tape recorder. I jumped up from my office chair and left my cubicle. I went to find my girls, Lynn and Gloria. It was time to tell them what the hell was going on. Lynn grew up in San Francisco and knew the games guys played, so she was always level-headed. Gloria was funny and would always cheer me up when I needed a laugh. And boy, did I need a laugh. I found each of them and told them I needed to talk. They met me in the ladies' lounge, which is the sitting room before you walk into the ladies' bathroom. I told them about Jim threatening me with a gun on Thursday and about me moving out of my apartment in a flash over the weekend. I told them that now he was threatening me and my family if I didn't give him some money. Both of them said that I shouldn't take him seriously. Gloria said, girl, he don't mean it. He's just trying to scare you. Lynn said, he won't do nothing to you and your family. He's not crazy. He's just trying to scare you enough to get the money. I said, you didn't hear him. I got him on tape. I knew he would trip, so I taped him. Listen. I played the tape and watched their faces begin to show concern. Almost simultaneously, they said, girl, he is crazy. He is seriously crazy. You need to go to the police and report him. Then let your family know. So I did. I went into my manager's office. Kathleen, the manager, was away for a few days. I called the Oakland Police Department and gave them a quick rundown. The officer said, we can pick him up on the threats, but he will walk. Unfortunately, that is not enough to lock him up. Now the drug thing will put him away. Do you know if he has drugs in his possession now? Can you tell us who his dealer is? I was staring at the phone. Like, seriously? You can't lock him up for threatening to hurt my family, but you want to turn this into a drug bust. I actually said to the officer, I don't know anything about this drug stuff. He kept that away from me. Thanks anyway. And I hung up. While I was sitting there scared and wondering what to do, Myron came into the office. Myron was one of the other claims examiners, and he was the coolest older dude I knew. He would take us to lunch, and while we ate, he would have a cocktail and eat a bowl of sour cream. Yes, sour cream. To coat his stomach because he had an ulcer and shouldn't be drinking in the first place. Funny and sad at the same time, right? Anyway, Myron said to me, "Your girls told me what's going on. Let me say something to you. I know a lot about thugs, intimidation, and the ways of the street. I have two of the baddest nephews in the Bay Area. They can make people disappear." Okay, that statement sent chills down my spine. He continued, if you want me to, I can tell them, and you will never have to worry about that punk again. You will know where he is at all times. You can visit him at Oak Knoll. For those of you who don't know, Oak Knoll Cemetery is what he's talking about. Oh my goodness. He just offered to have a hit put on Jim. I was impressed, scared, and appreciative. But I said, wow, Myron, that is deep. Thank you so much. I don't think I need to go there, but thank you. After he left, I said another prayer, another stepping stone of spirituality laid by God for me that day. I apologize to God for straying so far from my upbringing. I was a little square bookworm from Campbell in over my head. It was time to call in my family again. I called Gilbert. I knew he would be angry about Jim threatening our family, and he was. He asked me for some information about Jim and said he would be handling it. He asked me for Jim's phone number, his address, his mom's name and his sister's name, and told me he would call me back. I went back to my desk to get to work. In 10 minutes, the receptionist transferred a call to me. She said, "It's your brother." I picked up the phone and said, "Hello?" I wasn't sure if it was really Gilbert or if it was Jim just saying that so I would take his call. It was Gilbert. He went over his conversation with Jim. Gilbert said, I asked for Jim, and he said, "This is him." I said, "Look, punk, if you need some money, you get a job. If you want to buy a car, you get a job." Jim asked, "Who's this?" I said, "Don't worry about who this is. You are a little boy playing in a man's world. When you start threatening people and their family in order to get money, you cross the line." Jim asked again, "Who is this?" I said, "This is Gilbert, Carol's brother." He said, "Oh, hey, Gil, man, what's going on?" I said, "Don't talk to me like we are friends. I knew you were a little wannabe thug when Carol introduced you to me." I said, "She told me you threatened my mom and my grandmother if she didn't give you $300. I said, "I know where you live, and unlike you, I won't mess with your mom, Tammy, or your sister, Lisa. We would be coming after you." He said, "Oh, Gil, man, I was just messing with her. She ain't got to give me no money." I said, "She knows she doesn't have to give you any money. I'm telling you now, if you see my baby sister, you turn around and go the other way. Don't speak to her. Don't look at her. Don't call her. If she tells me you approached her in any way, she won't be able to talk me out of coming after you." Then I hung up. I was quietly listening to the whole replay as Gilbert spoke. I know Jim was scared. Gilbert said to me, "If he calls you at work, do not take the call. If he calls you at home, hang up. Sister, he is only trying to intimidate you, and he will not follow through. If you see him on the street, you keep walking the direction you were walking. Stand your ground. If he does come up to you, ignore him as if he is invisible." I said, "Thanks so much, Bubba." I call both of my brothers Bubba. He said, "I love you, baby girl. Talk to you soon." I said, "I love you too," and we hung up. A stone of respect and one of love were laid on my path to freedom. Our phones at work had a screen that showed the phone number of the caller when they called direct. When I saw Jim's number show up on the next call, I was a little surprised, but I let it ring. It happened twice more that day, but I did not answer, and I did not leave a voicemail message or a message with the receptionist. The following week, I was at Lake Merritt with a girlfriend walking around, and I saw John. We talked a while to catch up on what each of us was doing. I told him about the drama of the guy I had just broken up with. He said, "Damn, what is that dude's name? If he is from East Oakland, I might know him." I said, "Jim, but he goes by his nickname." "Jim over on 14th Street?" he asked. I said, "Yeah. Wow, you do know him." I really was surprised. He said, "Yeah, I know that buster. He can't do that to you and get away with it." John was really getting angry. He looked at his friends and said, "Come on, we have some business to take care of." I stopped him. "John, don't do anything." Gilbert talked to him and told him to leave me alone. "I think it's done. I don't want anyone to get hurt." John was already in his car, but he said, "Okay, if that is what you want." I told him it was and that I had to leave. My friend and I continued to walk around the lake, and John drove off with his friends. I said a prayer that God would keep John away from Jim and keep Jim away from me. Jim tried to call me at work 3 more times over the next 3 weeks. I never answered. About 2 months later, Gloria and I went to Silk's nightclub. Yes, the place I met Jim. And I was on the second floor, leaning over the rail, looking down at the first level dance floor. I looked to my right and saw this guy, Mark, that I had dated briefly. He came over and started talking to me. He said we shouldn't have stopped talking to each other and that we should keep in touch with each other. We were laughing at someone dancing on the dance floor when Jim walked up. Jim asked Mark, "Is this you?" referring to me. I slowly turned my head back towards the dance floor and pretended that I didn't notice him. Mark seemed scared. "Nah, Jim. Oh, no, Jim. This ain't me. We're just friends." Then Mark left as if his life was in danger. I was nervous, but not scared. Jim said to me, "Why did you have your brother call me, threatening me and stuff?" "That wasn't cool, Carol." I ignored him as if he was invisible. "Oh, it's like that. You can't speak?" I still said nothing. I kept watching the dancers on the dance floor. Jim said, "Whatever," then walked away. It worked. Wow. I had to find Gloria and tell her what had happened. It worked. Gilbert was right. It worked. I found her on the upper level dance floor. I told her exactly how it happened. She said, "Mark is a punk, but girl, I am proud of you. Let's go find Jim. I want to see you walk past him." We giggled and walked downstairs in search of Jim. Gloria spotted him first. He was right in front of us, so we kept walking and he saw us. We walked right past him and he said nothing. "Thank you, Jesus," I said out loud. Even though I had been disobedient, he had delivered me from that life-threatening relationship. On that night, there were several stones laid on my path. Stones of spirituality were laid on my path for having faith that God would answer my prayers of deliverance from the mess that I had gotten myself into. A stone of respect because I learned that I had to respect myself and think about what I was doing with my life and change the direction if I wanted to keep living, as well as stones of support from family, friends, and co-workers. In early 1989, I was 25 years old, and it had been 1 year and 7 months since the last sighting of Jim at Silk's. I was walking Lake Merritt when I heard my name called. I turned to see Bruce jogging my way. "Hey, I thought that was you," he said. "Hi, Bruce, how are you?" I asked, although I really didn't care. Once I stopped dating someone, it was done, over, finished, kaput. You get the point. "I'm doing good. I have a job and my own studio apartment. I'm actually on my way to work now. I just wanted to tell you that I know I messed up. You were the best woman that I ever dated. You were supportive and everything a man could want." He looked sincere. I said, "Thanks, Bruce. Good luck to you in the future." I waved as he said goodbye and walked away. Why do exes realize after the fact that they made the biggest mistake of their life? John once told me the same thing after we broke up. They don't realize that when the relationship is over, the women could care less. Dee Dee let me stay at her place until I found an apartment in Richmond near Hilltop Mall. I loved the complex, which had a swimming pool and a balcony with a hillside view. You had to use a key or buzz someone to get into the building, so it had a little security. I had my life back, and I felt so alive. Yes, that was a long chapter, but as you could see, it was necessary. These are the pictures at the end of chapter 3. The album pictures are of me and my Aunt Trudy. She's like a big sister to me. My other cousins with Dee Dee, my rescuer, and Terry and Tony. And then me by Lake Merritt, one of my favorite dresses when I would go walk the lake. And my brother Gilbert, me, and Dee Dee, dressing up for Halloween. So once again, go to my website so you can see those pictures in color. It just kind of gives you a feel for the people that I'm talking about and me at that time. I'll get into chapter 4 next. Bye-bye.